Yeah, if I do shave, I still look 12, but I did look very 12 then. Currently a pen tester at Dell SecureWorks. If you're interested in looking for opportunities, let me know. We're always hiring.
He gets a bonus for saying that.
Yeah.
But.
Well, only if you get hired. And you can see the CTFs Vic mentioned, but I'm also a first-time presenter, so hopefully I don't screw this up.
So hi, I'm Clayton Dorsey. I will be a soon-to-be pen tester at Dell SecureWorks, thanks to Mr. Ray over here. Yeah, capture the flag things, black badge, also first-time presenter. Let's get to the fun part.
So as a reward for showing up early, you get to see a picture of me at CarolinaCon 3 participating in the CTF. Credit to WXS for the picture and Vic for reminding me of it. Yeah, look at those beautiful flowing locks.
That's 10 years ago.
Yeah. So this was CarolinaCon 3 10 years ago.
So, what's up? I'm still lean right in. Okay, so capture the flag competitions. What are they? It's generally on some sort of information security topics, and they have challenges, some winners, and maybe even some prizes. And it's often a series of challenges or computers that you can attack and maybe defend if you feel like it, as well as it can be team-based or individual-based. And all of the flag part of the capture the flag is generally when you're doing one of these challenges or getting into one of these machines, you're looking for a flag at the end that is some sort of elite speak string, kind of like what you see at the bottom of the string, or bottom of the screen. So, types of CTF. There are three main ones, really. There's Jeopardy, which is the most common one. There's several different categories, such as cryptography, forensics, stego analysis, web, network, binary, it goes on. So these are each of those categories, kind of like Jeopardy, spread out, and then you have varying point values, getting higher points for the tougher challenges. And then we have the attack and defense style CTFs. So these can kind of work different ways depending on if it's a local capture the flag or if it's all online. But we're just looking at one today where basically you download a virtual machine and you VPN to this network, and you're trying to protect it, and other people are trying to get into it. And so you're trying to defend, find your defenses, and then everyone has the same virtual machine. So when you find a flaw in your own system, you can use it against someone else's. And then there's the mixed and scenario-based CTFs. This is honestly my favorite ones, and what the CTF here, Eversec CTF down the hall, is scenario-based. It's a little bit more like a typical kind of pen test. You got a range of IPs you can look at. There's some web apps. There's some networking things. There's it's a spectrum of things, but it's all very freeform. It's not very rigid in like columns of things to try. It's use your eyes, use different tools, maybe try and find something fun. So these are some of the different categories just talking about for the Jeopardy style. So cryptography, trying to break, most of them they start out with some really dumb, easy crypto like Caesar ciphers or things like ROT13. Steganography, where you're trying to hide data inside, usually it's images or audio files. Binary exploitation, reverse engineering. I don't see as many mobile ones. Network challenges for looking, maybe there's something kind of running on a port, and maybe it's doing something kind of funky. If you give it certain input, it does certain things. And then a lot of like forensics, like pulling apart, going along with the packet analysis, going through a PCAP file, looking for the different packets. Maybe there's a flag that's kind of hidden in there, or maybe it points you to somewhere else to keep looking. And there's tons more. So, on that, let's do the first demo.
Please, demo gods.
Please, demo gods. Okay. So, I am in this folder, and we have that picture that we just saw of me and Ray looking really terrified on the stage at DEF CON in front of thousands of people, and I forgot to say my name. So
we didn't know that it was a black badge competition when we were doing it until we won, and they were like, oh yeah, by the way, you'll probably win a black badge tomorrow, and you have to talk at the closing ceremonies. Good luck, bye.
Yeah. Yeah. Imagine this room, but like 6 times bigger and all full of people.
Yeah,
and
we're the second team to go on. We're like, what?
Oh yeah, hi. Okay, so this may look like, oh, it's just an image. I mean, it opened. I saw pixels, so it's probably just a normal image, right? Well, we can take a look because it's it's a CTF, so there's probably maybe something fun going on inside. So we can use a tool called binwalk, which will look through the file, and if it sees the magic bytes or like the beginning part of certain files, it'll know like, oh, maybe there's multiple files all kind of like stuck together in here. So we can see that there's the first JPEG, and then there's another JPEG, and then there's a third one inside. So there's 3 different JPEGs in here. So maybe you should try and extract them, because who doesn't want more JPEGs? So we'll do this. So the D is telling it to pull out only the JPEG files from it. And so we'll run that. So now, if we look in the combined JPEG extracted folder, there's 3 different files in here. So that seems interesting. So why don't we open up the first one? Okay, so that's the image we were just looking at. And let's look at that last one. So it actually seems to be like a thumbnail for it. So they included the thumbnail in the image. That's kind of typical for some image formats or how some programs save their images. But for our interests, if we look at this middle file, we'll find that, oh, there's a fun little image hidden inside of it. It has the flag, Stego is fun.
So raise your hands if you've ever competed in a CTF before.
That's great.
That's wonderful. For those of you whose hands are down, you just got a flag. Go ahead and raise them. This is your first CTF challenge. We got one. Good job.
Yeah, good job. Y'all did great. Yeah, high five. Thank you.
So yeah, for those of you whose hands were down before this, after our talk, leave. Go to Gabe CTF. Compete.
Yeah, it takes a little bit of knowledge of kind of what's of CTF and like the game of just doing CTFs, but it's honestly just use Google a lot. It's just as good. So how do you do CTFs other than watching someone present and getting free flags? Just enter them. Go over to the room, down the hall, sit next to someone who at least looks like what they're doing. Ask if you can join them. A lot of people will be glad to have an extra hand. Even if you don't know what you're doing, they'll try and help you. You might know something that they don't. Maybe you're really good at programming and there's a weird programming challenge. Maybe you're good at seeing weird pictures. Just sit down and try. Even if you don't get any flags, you'll get the experience, you'll get to hang out with people. They're really a lot of fun. So there's also, outside of conferences that are going to have them a lot, there's a subreddit called Open All CTF Team. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's one big giant team that competes in basically every CTF online that there is. Anyone can join. They have an IRC channel. They have their Reddit. They're always willing to help you if you don't know how to do any of the challenges. I entered a Chinese CTF that was well above and beyond any CTF I'd ever done, and I had trouble with all of the challenges. People who know, who are going to be better than you, they'll help you, they'll walk you through it, they'll explain what they're doing, and you'll learn from it. Other than that, you can just sort of read up on old CTFs, get a handle for them, and then compete in it next year. Hopefully I'll have some write-ups for actually this year's CarolinaCon CTF once it's over, so no spoilers. Or just Google CTFs, Google CTFs teams, see what you can find. So for those of you who have done CTFs, or those of you who are interested now, I'll try and cover some more advanced topics to help you go from competing in them to actually winning. The most important one I can tell you is take care of yourself. If you're doing these CTFs, you're going to be sitting in a room. You may sit down for 12 hours. You won't move. Don't do that. You're going to, A, feel like crap, and B, you'll miss flags. I mean, this happened to us at DerbyCon. We didn't leave till 3 a.m. We had flags we didn't submit. Take a break. Eat. Walk outside. Shower if you haven't done it in a day. Don't forget the 3-2-1 rule. Just get out. Clear your head. Come back. You'll be refreshed. You'll notice stuff. It's wonderful. Being hungover does not improve your CTF ability, contrary to what alcohol may tell you.
Drinking helps, though.
Drinking helps, but not after that.
So then, if you're on an actual team, especially larger ones, you'll want some way to collaborate. We use Slack a lot. It's great. Some of you may know it, some of you may not. It's basically a group chat program Set up a room for your CTF or rooms for your challenges and just talk. Throw out there, hey guys, I'm looking at this crypto challenge. I don't know what it's doing. Does anyone else have an idea? Collaboration makes a big difference if you're on a team. It turns 6 people doing 6 challenges into 1 team doing 6 challenges. Past that, we most recently started using Trello. For those of you who don't use it for work or anything else, it's a very simple sort of ticketing and workflow solution, similar to Jira, things like that. So we make a ticket for each challenge or each box, and that allows you to track it. So if Clayton starts on a binary challenge, but he's like, I can't do this, Gabe can pick it up, look at what he's done, look at what he hasn't done, and sort of go from there. It keeps your notes in one place. It keeps the status so you're not going back over it. It helps a ton for keeping organized. Specialization is another one, especially when you get into the bigger, harder, more advanced CTFs. Have a guy who's great at binary. Have a guy or a girl who's great at crypto, and then you know that you can go to them if you're stuck or you really want to knock out these 4 challenges. Or at least someone you can go to and say, hey, I know that you're great at mobile. What do I do here? Other than that, a really useful one is sort of your out-of-band stuff. People who make CTFs and compete in CTFs are doing it so that everyone can learn and everyone can have fun. If you're doing the CarolinaCon CTF, don't be afraid to talk to Gabe or Garrett or Clayton or whoever's running it. They may not give you a flag, but they're there to help you and they want you to learn. They made it so people can have fun and do stuff. No one would enjoy making CTFs if no one got any flags. They'll give you hints, they'll help you in the right direction. Talk to people. There's also, don't cheat, but if you want to sit next to someone who's getting flags, there are ways you can sort of get flags without solving the binary challenge yourself.
Asking for friendly hints.
Yeah, ask for hints. Don't man in the middle. Don't break the router, which someone did it.
Yeah, who did it?
Don't do that again. So here's an actual picture of our Trello board from DerbyCon where we got second. So if you see the very left column is our to-do. This is boxes we know exist, but we haven't touched. We've got an IP, we've got comments on it. The second column we use for in progress. So this is one that someone on the team was actively working on. They put their notes, they put their screenshots. If they left or got too drunk during the con, someone else could pick it up and go from there. The third column, less useful for Jeopardy style, but we found super helpful in the middle of the scenario ones, was possibly done. So in the DerbyCon or Gabe CTF, you don't really know when you're done with something sometimes because it's not one challenge for one flag. It's sort of, well, this box has some stuff going on, maybe I'm done. We found that we went to machines in that column later and found more flags. But there is a done column for something we were certain we looked at every file and we're done with. So Clayton's going to tell you, why you should do these, other than fame, fortune, and people falling in love with you.
It's very real. Also, taking CTF prices in large wads of cash that I just make rain everywhere is very common. I would say it happens to everybody. I'm pretty sure. So why do CTFs? Well, if you're not a pen tester or you're not some malicious evildoer on the internet, this is the closest thing that most people will get to hacking and getting that experience of doing what a pen tester does or doing what an evil hacker does, getting into boxes, exploiting things, and taking out the goodies. And it gives you real experience with the tools. When I was in college, I started doing CTFs, and it's the entire reason I was even able to get into doing pen testing is because I had bits of experience using different tools, knowing a little bit about how web apps work, how to use Nmap, really basic things. And when you have those tools and you can demonstrate them, it really does bolster your confidence and your skill set and taking your stuff further. Honing those skills, you learn new ones. I don't get to see everything I see in a CTF in my daily job, so this gives me chances to learn new things and kind of keep my mind fresh. And, in competitions, hopefully bring out the best in us. It's fun to be competing at something that you love, and luckily, people have found ways to make hacking shit fun and competitive, and then not just taking over people's cameras and baby monitors and stuff that they have lying on the internet. And you get to meet new people. There have been lots of people I've met at CTFs that I see at different conferences, and I just know I have random friends that I don't live anywhere near, but I can always see them at conferences, and it's fun just to kind of catch up with them but also the chance to meet people that you may work with in the future or get opportunities to go work with because of your performance in a CTF. And then I think this is a really important one is that for a lot of technical fields, they're programming have those dumb whiteboard job interview questions about how to match trees to plants or what, I don't know. But if you do like a pen testing job, like for all the ones, I was just doing a job search recently, and almost every single one of them had me do a pen test of a web application. And so being familiar with those tools, they're expecting you to know some things, and having done some CTFs will give you the experience to kind of know what's coming up. It's a technical portion of job interviews is becoming more and more common, and so being kind of familiar with the format and comfortable with it will definitely make you go farther. So, in the spirit of getting people to do more CTFs, here are some popular and upcoming ones that we think you should know about. So DEFCON has several CTFs like all over. There's the DEFCON CTF, which is an attack and defense style CTF with lots of, and this is like the Super Bowl, because they're qualifying rounds, they get to the DEFCON CTF, and all those teams there are basically cabals of wizards that don't wear robes, but they are frighteningly smart, and I'm glad they're mostly on our side.
And now the machines are allowed to compete in it too.
Oh yeah, last year there was a small supercomputer that competed against a bunch of the teams and did surprisingly well. They were not last. Yeah. One team lost to the machines, so next year it will probably be a couple more, and then we're all doomed. There's also the Open CTF, which is a Jeopardy style one that anyone can kind of join up. There's no qualifying rounds or anything like that. And then the IoT Village has been having the SOHopelessly Broken CTF for the past couple of years. And it's more kind of scenario mixed based. You have, last year it was about 12 or so different Internet of Things devices, which we all know are very smart and very secure, instead of me getting root on a baby monitor. That's scary that you can actually do that. What else? There was
I got a light bulb.
Yeah, hacked a light bulb.
A light bulb had internet access.
Oh yeah, there was a Best Buy refrigerator sitting behind us that people were trying to hack the entire time. The fun thing about that one is, so there was actually like the CTF where they have all these things that have known vulnerabilities, and we try and find them. But there's also people looking for 0 days like right next to you. And there was a guy that was talking about hacking thermostats and doing ransomware on thermostats, which I'm betting will probably be a more real thing in the future.
Cars. Usually not in the CTF, but they have cars you can actually hack into and find vulnerabilities on.
Yeah, so there's so many opportunities, and that's one of the best reasons to go to conferences. DerbyCon has a great scenario mixed one. The Seesaw CTF, this is an online one, but it's great for beginners. There's like a plethora of challenges of all different categories, and they start really easy. And the people in the chat rooms have been very helpful in the past. That's definitely what I cut my teeth on years ago, and I still do it because it's really fun. And also I feel good because some of the other ones are hard as hell, and then I don't get anything, and I'm sad, but I can always get something in Seesaw. And so everyone can feel good about that. And then upcoming, like in the next month or two, there's the Poly CTF. It's based out of Italy. It'll be another Jeopardy-style one. And then there's the Google CTF. Which they're being shadowy about and not releasing much information, but I believe it will be a Jeopardy-style one as well. And most importantly, there's the CTF right in this very building. There's the Eversec CTF is just down the hall at the very end, and you should totally come check it out. I would be happy to answer any questions you guys have. It's a ton of fun, and yeah, go do it. And so additionally, resources on this. So as I mentioned, CTF Time is a great site for finding out about upcoming CTFs. It has the ones coming up by date, sort by category, who's running them. You can put your challenge write-ups on there, so you can go and look at like, okay, so there was a CTF last month, and then if you want to kind of start learning about these things, you can go look through past challenges and how people solve them, and they'll write out in pretty good detail how to do this. And also scoreboards for those who want to brag. And
for those of you, I see a few of you trying to take pictures, I will release these slides and the resources. It'll be easier than trying to type from a picture on your phone.
So There's also really great tools that people have made. I mean, it help for InfoSec in general, but also there's some that are a little bit more specialized for CTFs. So CTFs are still kind of their, even though it's a bunch of challenges, it is its own kind of game. There's its own kind of meta to CTFs and kind of knowing things like that. So this repository I mentioned on here is really great for listing out different CTF categories and then tools that can be useful in those categories. It's invaluable, and I use it all the time. And then there's also practice CTFs, things that are going on all the time. You don't need to register, or I guess you probably might need to register, but you don't need to. There's no time limit. There's no prizes, whatever. It's just always running. The Pico CTF is a really great one. And then there's also a very fun one called Hone Adventure, which is an MMO game that you splits into a client and server, and that you have to mess with the binary or man in middle the traffic to actually beat the game. It's impossible to beat normally, so you actually have to hack the game to beat it, and it looks really silly, like spawning like 100 horses and
yeah, when you start the game, you have like a wooden sword or whatever, and you're surrounded by like 100 wolves or something. Like, it's not your typical RPG. You can't get past the very first beginning without at least doing something.
And then previous CTF write-ups I mentioned a little bit ago. I would say those are gold. I mean, that's the best way to either learn about InfoSec things in general, but also just like how CTFs work. And so many CTF challenges are kind of inspired by other people. Someone who wrote a CTF challenge probably did something similar in a previous CTF. And so kind of knowing how those relate to each other and the kind of things to expect and the kind of tricks that people typically throw in can really help you out in doing better and also just learning fun new things.
Yeah, but like Clayton said, I mean, you can really win some cool stuff. Like, I won this Wi-Fi pineapple at Raleigh B-Sides this year. We've got a Proxmark, like Smirker was talking about yesterday for the RFID. I won this at DerbyCon. It's a $300 RFID tool. It's super cool. And then the coolest thing we won, like Clayton mentioned, is the DEFCON black badge. Here's a short video just showing it off. Like, this is a 4 or 5 pound badge.
Oh, wait, it's on our screen, not theirs.
Well, we can see it, so.
Yeah. What?
There we go. Yeah, so this is an electronic badge. The eyes light up. The eye comes out like the Terminator. It's super cool. It's kind of heavy to wear all day. But yeah, like, other than the fact that that gets us into DEF CON for life, like, the badge itself is just really cool.
And with some of like these prizes that Ray mentioned, like it makes it like, oh wow, you must have been like really fucking elite to get that. But sometimes people get self-conscious and worried about losing. Well, so many people do that almost no one enters. So sometimes it's not that hard to enter a CTF and place in something. I joined one 3 years ago in the last like couple hours before it ended, and ended up getting 3rd place because no one really knew about it. And I think I got an Amazon gift card or something, but it's...
Yeah, the guy who got 4th at Raleigh B-Sides this year didn't expect to get that high and didn't expect even a prize. He got an Alpha card, I think, Gabe? Yeah, he won an Alpha wireless card just for something he was trying out for fun. So compete in these. Even if you don't win prizes, you'll still have fun.
You gain the prize of knowledge, and that's what we're all really after. Okay, so...
So who's ready to capture another flag? All right.
Okay, let's see if we can mirror this. Oh God, computers.
Clayton knows Max better than me, so he's going to make it work.
I've communed with Steve Jobs, and he has told me. Okay.
Okay. So this next one will be a more web challenge. So the first one was, like we talked about, the steganography. Someone, in this case it was me, hid an image inside of another image. Another one you'll see in a lot of Jeopardy or regular CTFs, scenario, is going to be your basic web applications. So we clicked a link on the CTF challenge board, and we're taken to this login page. Now, for those of you who are, or even aren't pen testers, can I see that?
Get bigger.
Okay, sweet. So the first thing you really want to do when you're looking at a web application, you want to first take a look at the application. In this case, there's not a lot going on. The second thing you want to do, if it's not too enormous, take a look at the source. Get a feel for what's going on. Don't just kick off burp and be like, all right, well, I'm testing. Get at least a basic understanding of what the application is doing. So let's take a look at the source and see if at least we can figure out what this challenge wants from us. There were no hints. We don't know what to do yet. So we'll take a look at the source. For those of you who don't know programming, that's fine. I'll try and at least give a basic understanding. So we have here just a web page. There's a form that goes to some sort of login. It sends our username, it sends our password, and it logs in. That's it. There's not a whole lot going on. So we somehow have to get past this login. But also, if we scroll down, there's a comment. So for those of you who've never done a CTF, you've now gotten 2 flags. We found another one right here. The CTFs comments for flags. So people will do this a lot. I've seen it in a lot of CTFs. And people will miss these because they'll get the login and they'll start trying to attack it. Just like a regular pen test, step by step through your process. Don't skip stuff because, oh, I'm going to break into the login. Look at everything. People will trick you. They'll hide things. It's not the crypto challenge at CarolinaCon, but you want to make sure you look at everything. So now that we've got our second flag, we think we have to do something with the login. Since this isn't a real penetration test or a real application, we know that there's probably some way to get in. So from here, we generally have sort of 2 main paths. We can try and sort of brute force usernames and passwords, which might work, but generally speaking, they're not going to be some sort of super complicated username and passwords. People want you to get in. They want you to get the flag. Unless you got it from a hint or somewhere earlier, it might be something simple. So in this case, let's try just admin username. That's probably common in your regular applications and your CTFs. So let's try admin. Maybe it'll work. Maybe we'll get in. Login failed. So we didn't get in. We can try a few more. We'll try password as a password. People love that. So we didn't get in. So maybe we think it's still a brute force and we could try for hours. But you don't want to spend too long on a challenge. Either A, you might be doing it wrong, or B, you just want to clear your head. So I don't think I'm going to be able to brute force this challenge. So the second main path commonly for challenges like this is going to be SQL injection. So for those of you in the field, you'll probably be familiar with this. For those of you not, SQL is a database query language. So when you log into a website, you're basically telling it, hey, my username is admin, my password is admin. It runs a query, it sees if that username and password exists, and it logs you in. We'll gladly explain more to you if you are curious about this afterwards. I don't want to get too in-depth on it right now. But what we can do is we can put our malicious code into this. So I'll open up a notepad to make it more clear. Nope.
Showing everyone your secrets.
I know. Okay, so pretend this is the password field. I shouldn't have put stars there. I wasn't thinking about it. So if our username is admin, the query might look something like this. So again, this is SQL. It maybe look a little scary for now, but even so, you don't need to know it for this challenge. So basically, we're selecting everything in the users table where the username is admin and the password was password when we typed it in. So if that query returned no results, so there was no user with the username admin and the password, we wouldn't be logged in. But what we can do is we can change our password. So SQL injection is a common attack. What if we made our password single quote, space, or 1 = 1, and then a comment? So then if you just read this out loud, you don't know SQL, we're selecting star, so everything, from users, where the username is admin, and the password is blank, or 1 = 1. For those of you who are not great at math yet, 1 pretty much always equals 1. So this query is actually going to always be true. We can put anything in this password field. And it's still going to return true. Even if that admin account never has that password, that second part, the order of operations is going to make it always true. 1 is always going to equal 1. So let's try that. Maybe it'll work. So you can't see it, but I'm typing right now, single quote, space, or 1 = 1, and then that comment. Maybe that'll work. So we actually logged in. So it looked up in the database. And this will work on, don't try this on websites you don't are allowed to touch. But this is a real attack. Hackers will use this. This is what you see in the newspaper. This is all SQL injection is. It can be a lot more complicated, a lot more difficult. But the basic, when you see, hospital vandalized by SQL injection, that's all they did. They got into your records just with a quote and some other stuff.
And not saying that you should ever try that. Attacking people is bad, but if you ever accidentally put in a single quote in the password field, that by your hand slipped and you see this, there may be something bad possible.
It broke. But so we're able to get in. And now, for those of you who had never done a CTF before, you've gotten 3 flags so far. Those weren't too, I mean, these were, quick, short presentation demos, but there are going to be flags in Gabe CTF that are going to be this easy, or maybe even easier. You're not going to get all of them, but, I mean, we showed them off in a few minutes. Give it a try. Go for it.
And if the first record happens to be the admin record, you might also find yourself.
Yeah, so in this application, we actually are logged in as the administrator. I just wanted something short and simple to demo, but if this was a real web application, we'd be the admin now.
Hint, hint. That may or may not be a useful thing to keep in mind.
So for those of you who
for
forgot
the
how to put
CTF
the
that
quotes,
is here.
maybe try that in the CTF here.
So,
Maybe the exact thing I typed might work. If you forgot the order of the single quote and the equals, come ask me. I'll tell you the order. I won't tell you where to use it. But so, does anyone have any questions or answers? I mean, we covered a lot of different things, but ask us about this CTF, CTFs, how to get into it. No one?
someone, where's my plant question? There you
go.
are.
Either shout, I can bring it to you.
I've got a question. How is the network
It can kind of depend. So sometimes they'll be fairly flat, and everyone from any IP can just talk to any other IP. But sometimes you will have to do a little bit of getting onto one box, say like getting a shell on it, and then you can start sending commands from there to actually start kind of pivoting around. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes, we had a team of 6-ish, something like that. So yeah, the DEFCON ones was actually interesting. So this is going to be more common in bigger ones, but basically we had a jump box, so we all could only connect to one machine on their network, and that was our machine. And then all of the machines on the attacker network could connect to the target servers. In Gabe CTF, it's going to be your machine is going to connect to the CTF network, and then all of the boxes are going to be on that network in a separate subnet. So there, well, I don't know how you would set up, but roughly. Okay, same subnet. So in some CTFs, it's more encouraged. So the DEFCON Open CTF, your attacking machines and your targets are all in the same subnet. You're allowed to man in the middle traffic. So if you want to sniff other people's flags or attacks and save yourself the effort, you can. Don't do that here. It's not allowed. It's against the rules. But there are some CTFs where it is allowed and encouraged. DEFCON encourages trolling other people. Not denial of servicing them, but various other things. A lot of the Jeopardy CTFs, you'll have any computer on the internet, which is yours, one sort of scoreboard server, and maybe a separate server that hosts the challenges. So if it's binary exploitation, you'll usually just download it to your machine and submit the flag to their scoreboard. If it's a web challenge, they'll have a URL you go to. A lot of the scenario ones will be similar to this one, just multiple networks. But yeah, that's good. Yeah, go ahead. No, that's fine.
when I was watching the capture flag, I want to ask a question. Those guys look really intense. Can you talk to them, or
For the DEFCON CTF, like the big one, I would not. They would probably like hiss at you and like swipe or something like a cat. But for like the Open CTF, I mean that's like so much more casual. Yeah, totally. Come talk to me.
Same way you talk to anyone else. I mean, I'd sit next to him or walk up to him and be like, hey, you might be busy, but can I ask you a question about the CTF? Yeah, just any way you would approach someone else who looks busy. Yeah, that's actually a great question I meant to cover. So one of the other advanced tactics I want to cover is be prepared. So yes, Kali is going to be great. You're going to have a lot of your tools, a lot of the stuff you do in a pen test, you're going to want to hit it. But the first thing you're going to want a 32-bit and a 64-bit, especially if you're going to be touching any binaries. Yes, you could get both to work on both. It's going to make your life easier. I've spent a lot of hours at a lot of CTFs going, crap, this 32-bit binary, I can't compile it correctly on my Kali 64. Let me install the libraries. No, I'm missing some. So bring both. Windows, you're going to want Windows for these CTFs. Maybe not every challenge, but I mean, I've had some where we had to download a Windows 98 VM and do some challenges. As far as attacking platforms, you'll be fine if you have, some sort of Unix-based with your tools, a 32-bit and a 64-bit and a Windows. But your targets are going to be a lot of stuff. We've seen Windows 98 mainframe for one challenge. Yeah. But attacking-wise, you'll probably be fine with, 32-bit Kali, 64-bit Kali, and a Windows.
Honestly, Kali's just good because it has everything installed and ready for you. It's mostly just so I don't have to go figure out how to install some tool that's complicated somehow.
Yeah, go ahead. Yes, that will make it a lot easier in trying to figure out why your network isn't working.
Yeah, or addition into like having a USB wireless card is having a USB to Ethernet adapter so you can plug that directly into a virtual machine. Yeah, VulHub is full of tons of like purposely built vulnerable virtual machines that you can just throw into VMware VirtualBox and have tons of things. There's also like Metasploitable or damn vulnerable web app or WebGo. I mean, there's tons of things online that you can get into hacking these things. So they're not necessarily all of them are CTF style, but there are tons of services out there, or sites out there that have purposely vulnerable software that is meant for you to learn how to hack it and enjoy it.
Yeah, I'll include those resources as well. There's definitely a few more that aren't quite CTF related. Go ahead, Ed. It's definitely both. There's definitely been times where I've been on a pen test gig and I gone, man, how the hell do I do this? Some PCAP analysis, something weird that I've never done before. And I look it up, and actually the resource I use is a CTF write-up. Or I'll learn something in a CTF and go, holy cow, this would be useful if I'm testing web apps in the future. Yeah, so if you're in the field, they'll both definitely feed back into each other. Yeah, I've had CTF write-ups help me in my job.
Yeah, I would say that CTFs are inspired partially by like dumb software, but also like real world things. Like developers are lazy and don't change the Tomcat credentials, and it's Tomcat. That's a very real thing. Or people have lazy passwords. It's all inspired by real life, and so it definitely kind of all feeds to some kind of knowledge pool. Yep. Oh man, I should have had that prepared, shouldn't I?
Yeah, so actually, one of the really cool ones I had this year was actually at DerbyCon. Like we mentioned, it was in the big list of all this cool stuff you might see. It was a game, so I want to say Dave Kennedy wrote it. It was literally a text-based RPG based on DerbyCon. So you walked in, you said, the text just said, you're in the DerbyCon lobby. Where do you want to go? And your options were like, go to a talk, go to Einstein's Bagels, go somewhere else. And there are flags hidden in the game. There was no hacking involved, so anyone who can read and type text and sort of think through a puzzle could have solved it. Yeah, there were like 3 or 4 flags. You ended up having to fight Adrian Crenshaw to get his black badge, which was a flag. Yeah, like it was pretty fun, and I'd never seen anything like it.
I'll say one of the ones I remember from the IoT CTF, there was, I think it was like a security camera that you'd like put in the corner of a house or something, and there was a page where you could upload firmware to it. And there was a fun thing where in the file name, when you're uploading it, the file name field actually has path traversal. So they intend for you to only upload to one place, but if you add lots of slashes into it, you can manipulate where it goes in the file system. And instead of actually uploading firmware, you can either add yourself to like the user list or give yourself an SSH key in there, or there are a whole bunch of different things, but that was fun. And then the fun thing about that is if someone does that attack wrong, they brick the device, and that's what happened. Someone have a question?
Anyone else? Okay. So, hint time. Those of you who sat through the whole talk and are thinking about competing, the first hint was my second demo. Remember, if you forget how to type the order, come ask us. And then another hint Clayton will give you.
No, it was actually the same hint.
Okay. So another hint is
2 for 1 hint.
Yeah. So for those of you who have run Linux commands before and you know the output, just remember the ls command, there can't be comments.
That's right. Yeah. There are some things that may say like, oh yeah, look, I'm looking at things. It seems like it's just outputting what's in the file, but there's trickery going on, and it is sneaky.
Yeah, and the thing Clayton mentioned about Tomcat.
Oh yeah, there
And in
is.
general, sometimes default credentials always work.
Default credentials always work.
Try
It's
them
not
out.
Sometimes, it's always. And that's it.
Thank you guys for coming.
Thank you.